to church every Sunday when we celebrate Christmas and Easter and all the like celebrating God and Jesus and Easter and Christmas.
I go to church when I can. I barely go to church because I'm so busy, but they're not strict at my church, so really it's just come when you can and just, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, as I stated, my mom works at a Catholic church, so sometimes she'll make me go to these functions, and I don't like to disappoint my mom a lot, so I just say okay, and I go with her. Begrudgingly, yeah, that's the word. So, I mean, to be honest, I do find Mass and church services kind of boring. But I mean, I understand a lot of people do, and they do it because it's their way of communicating with God. Yeah, I altar serve at St. Agnes. That's the parish I'm part of, St. Agnes, and I'm a lector. So twice a month I have to do these things because I'm signed up for it. And so I go. And alright, well, I'm an altar server and a lector at the parish I'm part of, St. Agnes. That's in Arlington. So yeah, twice a month I have to either go, help out the priest in the middle of the service, or I read a passage from the Bible for everyone to hear, or the responsorial psalms, or whatever it is that they have me read. And then, there are the days of, I don't remember what they're called, but the holy days of obligation, Easter, Christmas. Those are the only two I really follow. So yeah, about twice a month I go to church and subscribe to religious practices. I used to pray a lot. Then after I left Catholic school, kind of praying just stopped. I stopped praying at meals. My little brother, he's being raised Catholic because, he goes to the same school I used to, being in a Hispanic family. So most of the times my dad will pray with him at night, or my mom. But then there are some times where I'll pray with him, and it's the same prayer I used to say when I was a little kid, so that's kind of nice. And I guess this isn't really a prayer or anything, but I would say it's considered a religious practice. I try not to use God's name in vain because I was raised that way, and it feels uncomfortable to do that. I don't know if I believe, but if I do, I wouldn't want to disrespect him. If I hear someone being disrespectful, I try my best to correct them. I teach my little brother not to be disrespectful. Yeah, I follow like religious things, like being nice to everyone, even though that's a standard moral thing. You really learn that through religion, the golden rule. I just try to be a nice guy. Try and follow the religious doctrines I learn without necessarily believing in them.
I go to church every weekend on Sunday.
I don't really have any religious practices.
Well, I used to go to church every week, but lately we have not been able to make it. So, more like monthly, unfortunately.
Well, we have church every Sunday, and we go and there's like a sermon and stuff, but unlike Christianity and denominational religions, our sermons don't center around God or Jesus or any sort of creed or dogma. It's we're free-thinking religion, etc.
Okay, for the most part, I don't really have religious practices. I do pray. I actually do pray a lot, especially when I feel that something's wrong inside of me. It doesn't have to be, something that it's like obviously wrong. It's just something, if I feel something's wrong, I always pray. If, I want someone to get better, or a country, Japan, I prayed so much for Japan, and I just pray, because I feel that praying is something that I can do to communicate with God. It's just something that I believe in.
Daily Buddhism, you can pray every night, and also weekly, there's these temples that you can attend to, and you read scriptures, and you pray to Buddhist statues or something like that.
Not much. Really not much to it. Well, basically, when I was a Catholic or whatever, my mom made me do like all that stuff. I've gotten all my 7 sacraments, or whatever it's called. Almost all my 7 sacraments. I just need marriage. And I just didn't like everything that was going on. So, and my mom still makes me go to church, even though it kind of annoys me.
Well, I mean, yearly there are like religious celebrations and stuff. Weekly I go to church, and I have a youth group, and we have Bible studies once a month, and like youth group hangout time once a month. Sometimes we have events and stuff. On a daily basis, you know, Christians are encouraged to like pray and read the Bible, although I get busy and don't always remember to do that every day.
Actually, I haven't been to church in over 2 years now, but I do still have many religious practices just to keep me with my spirit with God, even though I don't go to church as often as I used to.
Okay, so on a daily basis, I pray 5 times a day. 1 in the morning, 1 after school, 1 towards like around 5 o'clock, 1 before sunset, and 1 at night. During Ramadan, I fast 30 days. It's not 30 days straight, just to clarify. We actually fast during the time that the sun is up. And what else? We have a celebration at the end of Ramadan, which is called Eid. It's actually 3 days, but the first day is the most important. We do Hajj a lot. That's one of the requirements of the 5 pillars. I have not gone for Hajj yet, but inshallah I will. That's pretty much it. So yeah. Cool.
Religion has given me the values that I go by and what I live by, and it's given me definitely a basis for how I feel towards other people and how I act.
It doesn't affect me at all. One, because, I mean, Christianity goes by the Bible, but I don't agree with the Bible, just because, like, how the Bible was created, a committee got together, and then they took all the books, and they decided what should go in the Bible and what shouldn't. So they're really biased, and, like, for example, I don't think there's any women writers in the Bible, and so, because it was, like, back early on, and, you know, women didn't have their rights yet. And also, they say some in the Old Testament stuff like you can't play with pigskin, which would rule out football, or that, you know, you should kill your daughter or son if they lie to you or do something like that. And it just doesn't affect me. I have my own personal standards.
Well, it doesn't have much of an impact on my life, but people certainly judge me because of myself being agnostic. They assume that I'm a terrible person or that I worship Satan. But to worship Satan, you have to believe in a god. So.
Okay, so what role does religion play in my life? It plays a very major role in my life. As a Christian, I kind of adhere to what we believe, which is basically God exists, and that there's a basis for morality, good and evil. As far as affecting the way I act, it's sort of very strongly relates to that. Like, I should act in a way that's good. It is defined more in the Bible as the way that you should have the character traits of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That should come out in character. Let's see. Oh, and I want to say, it does affect my choosing of friends, as I'm sort of, I like to be around people who build me up in that kind of character. But I mean, as far as being friends to people, it does not affect me in that way.
Religion changes me completely. I believe in God and Jesus, and anywhere I am, everywhere I go, I always feel that there's something. I never feel lonely, although I am lonely sometimes. But I'm just very conscious over things. Like my friends say, I'm too religious sometimes. It's quite, yeah.
All right, well, Reform Judaism in particular is all about open-mindedness and understanding people and being really welcoming. So I think it definitely makes me more of an open-minded person, but it does, you know, like any religion, it does have a moral code, and it does provide structure and guidance in terms of making decisions. So definitely through getting a religious education, but also through independent thought, I definitely have developed into someone who can think in a moral and conscientious way.
Religion, it's never really been a huge thing in my life before recently, but I mean, it's nothing that I ever really thought about. So when all this stuff happened, I did start thinking about it, and I started seriously thinking, where do they go, what's going on, and it's becoming important to me.
I'm not really impacted a lot. I go to church, so not really impacted a lot.
Religion doesn't play the biggest role in my life just because in my religion I can choose what I believe in, and it's a really free religion. So really it's a lot of what comes from my heart, the decisions that I make, and it doesn't always depend on like my religious practices.
Religion doesn't play that big of a role in my life. I pray with my little brother, and it has helped shape my morals and beliefs. You know, people who are Satanists, satanic, they believe in things like animal sacrifice or witchcraft, which isn't something I really believe in. And yeah, I guess I can just say it doesn't play out much of a role.
Religion plays a really big part of my life because everything I do, I try and put myself in the position of, you know, even though if what I'm doing, I decide, hey, it's whatever, I can do it, then I think of, is this really what God would have me do and what He wants me to do?
Religion doesn't really affect my life that greatly. I do pray, I do believe in God, but that's about it.
It's kind of personal.
Part of my religion is, it's a lot of stuff, like we have 7 principles, which are like respect the environment, love everyone. We very much have a lot of respect for like the gay community and just people who are discriminated against. So in that sense, I just try to be like tolerant and accepting of all people, and I try to carry that into everyday life. So yeah.
I think everything, in my opinion, affects your life. So, I mean, religion is a big part of it, because if something that happened in your life didn't happen, then you wouldn't be yourself. And religion, for the most part, is always something big in people's lives. And so, if I were to be raised like in a Buddhist like community or wherever, I would be slightly different than I am now. I mean, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't mean that, you know, I'm saying if I was raised Muslim, I would be this or that. No, it's just, I'm just saying that it does affect me, and I feel like it affects me in a positive way, because if I didn't have Christianity, I wouldn't be so open-minded, because I feel like my church always, no matter, even if they had their certain beliefs, they would always be open to like other beliefs, and they would teach me how to be respectful to other beliefs. So that's something that I really love about my church and about my belief, and it's affected me greatly.
Religion doesn't play that big of a role in my life, because unfortunately it wasn't necessarily forced on me a lot, and so this doesn't really involve in anything I do.